Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello, we are back. It's been an emotional weekend.
Poor Miguel, your face is very puffy. And it's okay that it is, by the way. That's fine.
If you missed it, one of my best friends passed away. And so that's why we didn't have a podcast on Friday. And so I was out, but we still had like a new fresh content for you on Friday's show. But we weren't able to do the podcast. But we're going to get more into the weekend and how I made, which is becoming sort of like a controversial decision after my friend passed that we talked about this morning on the show. But then we've had some interesting feedback that we have to get to about that. But also producer Kelvin is out today celebrating his fiance's birthday. But we have something really cool that we want to share with you. We have special guests in studio. Let me bring them on. Boop, boop. Frank and Chelsea.
Welcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you could do that every time you see me, I'd appreciate that. It'd be good for my self-esteem.
I'm here for that.
We are co-workers. Chelsea, tell us who you are and where do you work here in the building?
I work down the hall for the Woody and Wilcox show. And so Miguel and Holly and I become friends.
Yes.
Love seeing you all the time.
Yes. And how long have you been in Charlotte on the radio?
I'm going to date myself right now.
That's okay. We do it all the time.
12 years with the same show in Charlotte.
Wow.
Same guys.
That's awesome.
Same crew. So I started off as an intern and then I just kept showing up and here I am.
That is awesome. I mean, and you know what's so interesting is that like working in radio with other morning shows, like you never know how it's going to be and like how if people are going to be nice, if they're going to be not so nice, because we've worked some places before where people are very interesting to new shows that come in. And so everyone on your show and in the building has just been super, super, super nice. So it's been a really cool experience.
Well, thank you. Even if it's not true.
Well, you're here with your husband, Frank. Frank, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this, you guys.
Absolutely. Now, we call it the Platypus Posse. These are our followers here on the podcast that listen all the time. So you are now inducted, both of you, into the Platypus Posse. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zenda, for welcoming us.
Yes.
A lot of people commenting just to say hello and everything.
This is awesome and fun.
Absolutely. So
here.
you all have a really cool charity. Talk us through what's happening here in Charlotte this week.
Frank is in charge of this.
I am, but she speaks much better. No,
move up closer to your mic.
Frank, we need you to get right up in that microphone.
I'm so sorry, Holly. Is this better?
You can touch
hear
it
me
too,
better?
honey.
That's so good. And just so okay, it's starting today, and it is basically a disc golf tournament, right?
Yeah. So I only started playing disc golf in March, and
Oh,
it was something.
I didn't realize it was so soon.
So soon, and
Okay.
my buddy was like, "Hey, you and Chelsea got to come join us," which she still has not. But
Oh.
it's something. It
I'm
is.
busy. I'm busy.
She's a famous radio
I know.
personality.
And you're doing
Okay?
mornings on the radio. You're tired, girl. I get it.
Thank you.
I know.
So we basically we just talked about what would be fun, as a participant, and what would be fun for, just something to do in the city. How could we bring people together, community, make it all inclusive, just for everyone. And we started, what if we had these local breweries we could onboard, and what if we had these, huge Innova is sponsoring us for this. So dream come true. It's like, I don't know how it happened, but it's here now. So our first night is at Noda Brewing Company here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Do so many good things in the community. It's starting at 6, and it's basically, to nutshell it, throwing discs in a basket for charity. And each brewery is going to be doing 5 unique, they're going to be doing unique prizes for the top 5 contestants at each brewery. So let's just say, I'm going to use Noda since it starts tonight. Your ticket is going to get you a $5 DGU card, which is a Disc Golf United. You can, for your next disc purchase, you can use that for that.
Okay.
Innova, my guys at Innova are going to hook up the top 5 people with their winners with 2 discs of their choice. And they're also going to move on to the finals, which is Saturday at NODA. But then also NODA's going to, for the top 5 contestants, they're going to give free your choice of a crowler or a 4-pack for the winners, just for winning at their brewery, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you go ahead, Holly?
Well, my question was, okay, so what's the charity? Like, is there one charity? Is there different charities attached to every brewery, or how does that work?
So there's one charity, and I was introduced through them through my wife. They're called Purple Heart Homes. And again, in a nutshell, what they do all across America, they provide housing solutions for veterans who otherwise can't afford it. Do they have a leak in the roof? Do they need a ramp or wheelchair accessible?
Mm-hmm.
They come in and make that stuff happen for free. When people, like us, are putting events on, or are you in their Hearts of Honor Club and donating monthly, and just something that, there's so many great charities here, but that's one of the big ones. I'm like, let's start off here and see how it goes.
They're based in Statesville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worked with them for several years, and they really do great work in the community. So tying in the disc golf community, the brewery community, and Purple Heart Homes all together, maybe introduce some people to each other who didn't know. Like, there's a huge disc golf community in Charlotte. Well, they need to know about all the breweries here and about Purple Heart Homes, and vice versa. So each brewery, there's one per night, Monday through Friday. You don't have to sign up for all of them. You can sign up for all of them if you want. But as Frank said, the top 5 winners move on to the finals Saturday, and there are great prizes to be had. And each night, each brewery is doing a You Drink, We Donate, essentially, to Purple Heart Homes. So at NODA night, every beer sold, $1 goes back to Purple Heart Homes.
Now, walk me through this, because I've never heard of disc golf before.
You never even heard of it?
I've never heard of it.
What?
And so that's why I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind. Like, I know I've heard of oh God, what's the new one that everyone's pickleball? Pickleball. So is it similar to that, or like how does it work?
Not even a little bit.
No.
So Frisbee. You've thrown Frisbee, Miguel. I know you've thrown a Frisbee.
I mean, I've looked at a Frisbee. I don't
he saw a video one time of people using Frisbees.
Right. I saw someone throw it towards a dog once, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Context socially.
So that was me. That was me earlier. And guys, when I tell you, I felt so dumb. Like, so I called the #1 disc golf company in the world, right? Innova created the first disc. And I'm like, it's such a new sport. And Miguel, I said the same thing. I'm like, pickleball, I want disc golf. And he's like, this has been around. Like, we created the first disc in 1983. I'm like, oh, I knew that. What did I say? It's been around a year. I was like, I meant like 40 years, whatever.
Like, duh,
so I felt like an idiot.
It's okay if you haven't heard of it. The first thing I ever heard actually was in college, because it suddenly sprung up on my college campus, and all these dudes that I used to hang out with in this fraternity were like, disc golf, my man, like, it's where it's at. And it was like this laid back, like, sort of, you kind of drink while you're doing it if you want to, or if not, obviously you don't have to, but like, and it's kind of like laid back, but it's also competitive and really fun. So you explain more better than I do. So
right. And really, to nutshell it, it's just for the putting portion, you're trying to get the Frisbee in a basket, disc golf, but you're just trying to get it in the basket. So we're going to have 4 stations set up at each brewery. One will be, 22 feet. The next one will be 25 feet. The next one will be 28 feet. Then the 4th basket will be 33 feet, which is that's within a circle 1 putt. So so it's going to be a very fun time. I hope you come out, Miguel, to at least one of them.
Man.
To at least one of them.
Just to see. It's like putting instead of putting a ball in a hole, you're going to put this Frisbee into a cage bass.
Okay, that doesn't sound like, that sounds up my alley, where that doesn't sound like a whole lot of skill is required, that you can sort of figure it out as you go along.
Right. Pretend you're playing pass with a friend with a Frisbee.
You can handle the putting. Now, some of these pros will go out and just what looks like throwing a Frisbee through the woods to try to get to a basket you can't see, and that's some professional magic.
Yes,
but here,
doing that
for this case, for the brewery putting tournament, again, it's supposed to be a good time. It's all skill levels, open to everyone, all inclusive, different ages, skill levels. Like I said, you don't have to be a pro, so come out, check it out, sign up, obviously, and do some good for Purple Heart Homes.
Right. And so to piggyback off her, so Saturday, like I said, that's going to be the finale. So you'll have 25 total contestants there. We had MVP Discs. They're right behind Innova. They're one of the bigger disc golf companies, in the world, and they wanted to be a part of it. So they sent us a MVP Pro disc basket.
Oh,
It's like a $200 basket that'll be at the raffle. We have like some Harris Teeter gift cards, some restaurants here in Charlotte gift cards, Glow Beauty Salon down in Rock Hill. They gave us some gifts. So there's going to be a lot of, fun prizes too. And then Purple Heart Homes will also have their unique raffle prize where all the money to that, unique prize is going to go towards them, 100% of the proceeds. So we're excited to do good things for like the community here and just bring, breweries together, disc golf companies together. Like people that wouldn't otherwise maybe know each other, let's get them together, all inclusive. So
bring your friends, bring your family, kids, dogs, all of it. And if you've never thrown a disc, you'll have an opportunity to try that.
Right.
And then on like the finale, I'm hosting. There's going to be great raffle prizes. Learn more about Purple Heart Homes. Donate. Come see what it's all about.
So what we call on our show, tell your mama Nim to come and play it, because I think the Nim part will really enjoy throwing the frisbee. The Nim part.
Well, literally, my mom will be there. So my mom and
yes, Grandma.
Grandma's going to be there.
Yes, that's not a Nim.
I know. Grandma's got to help wrangle the kids and support the family. So
Well, this is awesome. Well, because obviously podcast, so it's time shifted. So right now it's Monday, August 7th. So tonight it's Noda Brewing Company. Then Tuesday on the 8th, Lower Left. Wednesday, High Wire. Thursday, Lenny Boy. Friday, Catawba. And then Saturday, it's back at Noda Brewing Company for the finals.
And all the details and tickets, 704dgt.org.
Well, now that we got the official business out of the way, real quick, how'd you two meet?
Oh, no. Do you really know the answer to this and you're setting me up?
No, I don't.
You really don't?
I don't. I have no clue.
Oh, my goodness. It's a long story. Let me make it short. Do not, because he'll just...
I was about to get intimate with y'all.
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
This is a podcast, so you can get as intimate as you like.
Oh,
we like that.
Let me
She
be the
said,
radio
"Hold on."
professional.
He'll start telling you a story,
And
but
summarize.
the short version
the whole
is
truth.
he was
Nothing but-
actually a listener of the show that I'm on
True.
prior to
You dated a listener and then married them?
I mean, it's
She's
not
crazy.
it's a longer story about
crazy,
how like
Miguel.
he found me, like he was married to somebody else for a while at the
yeah.
That
time.
is shocking. Now, did he leave?
No, completely unrelated.
Unrelated.
It was unrelated. And we were just Facebook friends, had never, ever met him in person before. But, we get a lot of the requests in this business, and that's fine. And for me, I usually have to hide a lot of those because I can't see everybody's life happening all the time. But I
Right.
didn't hide his profile because I thought he was cute and he didn't post any dumb stuff. So that's kind of my criteria. And so years went by, and then we ended up meeting in person later on
years went by.
when we were not married to other people.
Oh, so you both were married to other
Yes,
people?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This is juicy.
You
Wow.
didn't even know, did you?
I did not. I had no clue. This is good.
How would anybody know unless you like open your business? We didn't know.
Oh my God. I figured the guys I worked with told everybody our secrets. But that was years ago that we met, and here we are. So now it's a good story.
That's
Wait,
awesome.
So Frank, did you like slide up into her DMs and you like, hey girl, how you doing? Or how did that happen? Because I feel like there's some part of the story here that we're missing.
So that would be like the assumption, right? It's always like who slid in whose DMs. Now, look at her. She can't even stand it.
Because I know what you're going to say.
She reached out to me. I was going through a divorce at the time. And, it's never a good time for divorce for anyone,
I know.
And she's just like, hey, I know how that feels going through. So she slid in my DMs, and I appreciate it. Strictly platonic. Very like, if you need anything, I'm here to listen or whatever. So we just, hey, here's my kid. Let me see your kid. Here's my, and just like, wow, they're growing up. And there was one day she was in Maryland with grandma, who's gonna be here Saturday, and she's like, well, forget this. We've been talking. She's like, do you just want to go hike a mountain in July? It's only 100 million degrees out.
Hike a mountain.
Look, I figured there were a lot of people. So if he was wild, I could just scream and someone would hear me. Like, if he was crazy.
That's big trust. Big trust.
That is.
Yes.
We push you off a mountain or something.
That's what he says.
Right.
Yeah.
Crowder's Mountain. And that was it. That was
it. We've been together every day since.
July 9th, 2017.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Now-
I
now-
love that story so much.
That is very cute. But Chelsea, when you slid up in his DMs, were you truly trying to be helpful, or were you like, well, you about to be single, and I always thought you were kind of cute? Or were you just truly being like, I feel for you.
I was trying to be helpful, but I did feel compelled for some reason to reach out to him. And it was in the back of my mind. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. He doesn't know me. I never do this. But then I just kept thinking about it. And because I know what it's like to be a single parent there in the beginning when you're going through a divorce, and it is tough. And so I sent those words to him, was embarrassed and regretted it a little bit at first, but he got back to me. And it was nearly a year later that we ended up meeting in person. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it took
It's
a
a long
minute.
game.
It took
Yeah.
a minute.
Miguel, I was like, this isn't really her. This little local celebrity sliding up in my DM. I was like, there's no way. It was her. I'm like, no way. And kind of surreal moment. So
Oh,
she
man.
slid. She did the sliding.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, but that's like forever. Like that's always gonna be the stories. You're like, well, she slid in my DMs
Right.
at first, but then you see, like that's just how radio people are. We're always watching.
Right.
We
We're
are. I was
always
about to say,
watching.
I have a very, very eerily similar start story about my relationship. So us radio ladies, like if we
Okay.
want to go like do something, we're gonna do it. We're not gonna be like, maybe he'll contact me. I'll be like, hey, hi, how are you? I'm Holly. Like
Mhm.
we're slightly like a little pushy, obnoxious, but it's for good reason.
Well,
Yeah.
so let me get you guys' take on this. So she will try to say, so it was me because I added her on Facebook. It was me who sent the request to her and her coworkers. I was like, listen, I just moved here from, Portland, Maine in November 11th, 2011. I was like, what radio show? This is what I like. And so I ended up adding them. So, but I still feel like she slid. What do you guys say? Right.
Having done it myself, I think you slid because I accept the sliding. I accept that I slid first. Although same, like my now fiance added me, and so but that put it on my radar.
Mhm.
Like I got this ad, and I was like, I feel like I kind of like, okay, this is a cute person, but I was like, does that mean that he thought I was cute?
Right.
Because like I wasn't out here adding randoms, but
Right.
like he added me, and then I was like, oh, we have something in common. Let me go ahead and just slide in the DM. And I also did it like not trying to be super flirty off the bat because I actually didn't know any status on him at the time. Like he could have been married, he was actually also going through a divorce. And so that's when I immediately was like, oh, I understand how divorce is. Been
Mhm.
there. Where are you at in this process? Like, here's how I can offer my help. So I say yes, like it's cool that you were you added first, but like I feel like Chelsea and I, we had to go out there and do things for ourselves and get us these men's.
Holly,
Well,
that
here we
is.
are.
Whoo. Now, Miguel, where's your
Mm.
standpoint on this? I want to hear.
Yeah.
So Holly thinks I did the sliding. I did the sliding.
No,
No,
Chelsea did the
I
sliding.
did the sliding.
Yeah,
is what
Chelsea
you're
did the
saying.
sliding.
Yeah, no, yeah,
You
yeah.
set it up.
You put
and-
your first, the first little thing out there because I don't think you were looking to date her
Correct.
when you
Mhm.
added,
No.
and I don't think my person was either. But like, and again, Chelsea, you weren't necessarily looking to be like, hey, I got ulterior motives.
Right.
Come
But at
on.
the same time, you said you felt compelled.
I did.
Same.
Yeah.
That's the first move.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would say
You put
that.
the first move.
Yeah, I think that the sliding, like, because you two reached out with the intention, I think starting the conversation, because I feel like adding someone is like the easy thing to do. But
Right.
when you actually are the one that says, hey, what's up? And then you
Opens
start
a private message.
Yeah, I think that's the person that has officially done the sliding, because it's easy to add, but it's hard to like craft that first message and to make the first contact because you're literally putting yourself out there at that point.
So
Mhm.
I think you take that as a badge of honor, Chelsea. I think you're like, yeah, I did.
You a boss lady, and you
Yes,
go after
own
what
it.
you want.
Yes,
Well, it
You
works
said,
out.
did.
I want that man. Mhm.
It was the dimples, and now here we are. So now we're
Yeah.
manacled together for life.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Now, and so that was 2017.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you don't have to answer because this is the podcast, so we go there. How long did it take after the hiking mountain until y'all were like, "It's time for the bedroom"? How long did that take?
Another great one. Oh, look at her. We could get
I'm-
juicy with this. See, I feel like oh. Hold on, what's that look?
I have no idea what you're going to say. That's why I'm concerned. That's why I'm so concerned. Let me just tell you this. With the two of us, remember I said I felt compelled. We
Immediately
sounds
clicked it
cheesy,
off.
but we just all had this connection immediately.
Mm.
We started talking, texting from when he randomly texted me out of the blue a year after the Facebook sliding in of the DMs or whatever you want to put it.
Mhm.
And so when we first met, it was there. Like we were always, there was never, if anything, it was like, oh no, people are going to talk. The timing is terrible, rebound, all of this. But we always felt like we knew
Right.
each other.
So what you're saying is
It was
after
very
y'all
quickly.
It was
hiked,
right away. Yeah.
like that night after y'all came down from the
Not
mountain.
that Not
my
that night,
gosh.
but I feel like it could have happened.
He always tells people that it could have happened there, like on the mountain. I'm like,
Just
no.
saying. Yes, it
And
could
we'll
have.
always argue about this. I'm like, just it wasn't going to happen. Were the feelings there?
Right.
Sure,
Right,
but I have some control over myself. Let's not.
Oh.
I know. Let's not use that. That's awesome.
Oh,
No.
this is fantastic. Well, thank you too for letting me grill you about your
I mean, yeah,
relationship.
Miguel,
I love it.
You've
I
opened
love
up a
it.
whole can of worms. You know there are more stories.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know
I'm
it.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is my favorite. So give us the website one more time for what y'all are actually here for, not my dumb questions about your sex life, but about the charity that you're trying to do for Purple Heart Homes.
Yeah, so it's 704dgt.org, and that's just disc golf tournament. 704 is the area code here in Charlotte, so that's kind of where we came up with that. But yeah, 704dgt.org. You can get tickets there, donate there. Really good things.
Yeah, and come out. We'll be out
Yeah,
all
come
week.
out.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much,
Thank
Frank and
you
Chelsea.
guys
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Thank you so much, Holly. When you're
Yes.
up here, we've got to get together because two similar stories.
I know it's crazy.
Miguel, you're gonna have to come out. First beer's on me.
And when
Oh,
you
100%.
try some disc golf, we'll
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
We'll do it.
100%.
You'll throw a frisbee.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.
Bye. That's fun. Miguel,
I
you always
love
get too crazy with those questions.
I know, listen, I'm always the one that's like, I'm going to go there when no one else will. I'm going to ask all the damn questions because I'm nosy like that.
I know.
Holly, how was your weekend?
Good. Weekend was good. So it was a busy one. Maya's birthday party. A couple of birthday parties happened because her birthday is not until it's about a week and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of travel coming up. So as we mentioned, and maybe we'll talk about this on Wednesday's podcast, we have morning show boot camp coming up later this week. And that is like our yearly radio seminar conference that we always go to. And it's always the worst timing for me because it's always the first week of school is like the morning show boot camp week. So I'm going to be out of town. Unfortunately, I literally have to fly out of town on Maya's first day of school. And so that was rough. And so that weekend is going to be her dad's weekend anyway. So she's having a party with him then. So, and then the following weekend, I'm in Charlotte for Pride. And that would have been the weekend I would have had her birthday because it's closer to the actual date of birth, but not going to be in town then either. So all of a sudden we realized, oh my gosh, we have to do this either way before your birthday or way after. And who wants to do it way after?
Right.
Nobody. So we did like a big party at Sky Zone, which is like a trampoline park, and with her like friends from class, like some friends from school. And so that was on Saturday, which I tend to usually get very stressed out about birthday party planning. And this is the first year that my mom has not been here for it. And mixed emotions on that. But what I realized is that I was not stressed out like I normally am. I think partly it was my mom's stress, who she always would get stressed out about birthdays, holidays, any kind of party planning. She loved it, but she would be like, the panic was contagious. And then I would feel like I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it good enough and all this stuff. So this year I was like, I feel pretty confident about this. So we had Maya's birthday party and it went off fairly well, you know, like I think I handled it. I was pretty proud of myself as a mom, I guess I would say. And then later that day I had to go upstairs, which is where my mom was for a long time. And it still looks, nothing has changed. Everything is just a big pile of everything up in my mom's apartment above in the second floor of my house because I haven't been able to make myself clean it out yet. And I went in there to drop off some gift bags in a closet, and I was walking out of the closet I do this frequently. I have to go upstairs for random stuff. And I glanced down and I saw some like some of my mom's clothes folded up in a laundry basket that I had clearly just chucked to the side, like one of the many trips back and forth to the nursing home. And it like caught me and I just stopped moving and I just started crying.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't know if it was because it was, the birthday party day or whatever, but I just felt really emotional. And so I had a good cry. I mean, like a hard cry, like stuck in that spot. And I was like holding a can opener because I had to put that upstairs too. And I'm like gripping this can opener and I'm just crying and crying. And I let that kind of subside a little bit. And I was like, okay. I was like, we missed your mom.
Mm.
I went downstairs. And so that was Saturday. And there's no like moral of that story. I'm just kind of sharing. And then the Sunday was like what we call like family party day. So my person's parents, we call them Gigi and Papa. So there's always usually a family party for Maya and his daughter too when it's her birthday at Gigi and Papa's house with their pool. And it would have been like my mom too. And if there's like anybody's cousins or brothers and sisters are in town or whatever. But so we did that on Sunday. And I think Maya had a great weekend. She got to do basically 2 birthday celebrations on each day. We really tried to make it all about her. And I think it went off pretty smoothly. So like I said, I just felt really proud that I did all that. And she seemed like it's her 10th birthday. It's a big deal, double digits, which is bizarre. And so I think overall it went really well. And then she'll have, like I said, another celebration with her dad next week, this coming weekend. And then in a week and a half, when it's her actual birthday, I am actually I will be in town for her actual birthday. And we'll do like a little, because she's got to go to school, but we'll do like her favorite dinner at home. And that's when I'm actually going to give her the presents that I bought her. And then I fly out the next day to go to Charlotte. So I'll be like, bye.
Bye. Happy birthday, Bobby.
Happy birthday, bye. We're done. So that's how it's just August stresses me out a little bit because of it. There's so many moving parts and pieces. But I've locked on and I feel like I've got it planned pretty well. So I think it's good. So that was my weekend. Overall, I would say it was a win.
Sort of very similar to the grief part. Sort of what we mentioned when we started the podcast, that my face looks puffy is because there was lots of tears and emotions this weekend with one of my best friends passing. And getting to Atlanta Thursday, we drove right after the show and drove straight to the funeral home for the sort of memorial, the first one. And it was just so weird, like walking in and like they had like the slideshow going in the funeral home with pictures of him from like when we were in college, when he was in high school, and seeing people that I haven't seen in probably like 17, 20 years since college. And we were all just, saying how crazy it is that he's gone. And it was just an emotional night. Like it was sort of like that started it. And then afterwards we went to dinner with some friends that came by, and like literally we went to this place in Atlanta called Taco Mac. And it's sort of like a local version of like your Chili's or BJ's or something like that. And I haven't had it in a long, long time. And that was a place that he really liked. So when the waitress comes over, she's like, oh, it's, half bottle of wine or half price for a bottle of wine. I was like, oh, cool. I'll go ahead and get one and I'll share it with everybody. Girl, 45 minutes later, I was like, I have drank the entire bottle of wine myself.
Oh,
because every time I would like be drinking and we're talking and telling stories about Brandon and laughing, the waitress would come over, just pour more. And then I was like, I stood up to go to the bathroom and I was like, oh, shit.
That's what wine will do to you. Wine hits you, I think, more than anything else when you have been sitting and then you stand up.
Yes. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be good, girl. So we just sat around and told stories about him and connected about that. And then I woke up Friday. That was the day of his service. And I was finishing off my speech that they asked me to give about him. And so this is just a really random like side note that I was in the hotel in the bed, like working on the speech and look on my laptop, and I looked up and out of my window was the another hotel where you could see rooms there.
Mhm.
And this was probably like 7:30 or probably 8 o'clock in the morning Friday. And I look up and this woman has just gotten out of the shower and I could see her clearly, and she had her blinds open and she's lotioning up and she's just like lotioning her titties and just like in the
She
window,
was fucking naked.
like naked, just like lotioning up. And I was like, what the I was like, so this is how today's starting. I'm gonna see some titties as I'm trying to write this speech about
I
Brandon.
mean, were they nice titties? Elise?
I mean, I guess so. They looked
I
like they were
guess
perky. I
so.
mean, it looked like homegirl was like lotioning and she was like lifting them up and putting lotion all over. And I was
guess
like,
maybe you don't realize because you sort of feel like you're just one in a big block of rooms in a hotel.
mm-hmm.
But like, would you not think that you're standing by an open window with your titties out? Like, what?
So that just like that. There were so many moments that I thought, wow, this is such a Brandon, like, I was listening to some emotional song like Whitney Houston or Adele or something, and I'm just thinking about, what, because my speech was basically about lessons that I can take away from Brandon that we all could take away from him. So I'm sitting here like tears slowly streaming down my face as I'm typing up, and then I just see these titties across the way, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. So that started the day of the services.
Okay.
And then we went to breakfast with some friends that we went up there with, and you can just tell like we were at breakfast and it was like we're all just trying to like make each other laugh and just tell stories. And then like as breakfast was starting to end, you could just tell we were like, all right, now we know that it's time to go. And there was just this sort of like quietness that came over the table, and like we're all looking out and like tears are slowly coming down our eyes, and we're like, all right, well, let's just go fucking do this. And we went and it was just really, how would you describe it? It just felt,
by the way, where was this, by the way? Where did you go to? The funeral home?
yeah. So the funeral home, they have like a chapel
Okay.
where they have the services.
Got it. I'm just trying to visualize.
Absolutely. And so before that, we were sort of in like the viewing room, just as people were coming, because we got there like right at noon and the services started at 2. So we were just there connecting with people and talking for the people that didn't come Thursday night. And so then as so the big controversy that we had in our little Georgia Southern group, because we all went to Georgia Southern University, was on both sides of the chapel, the first 2 pews they had reserved on them. That was for his family.
Right.
Well, we were like, well, we want to be like the 3rd row behind them. And we were like, well, should we print out signs that say like Georgia Southern reserved? Like, would that be rude? Like, because we want to be up front. And then since I was giving a speech, I'm like, I don't want to have to come all the way from the back. So we printed out Georgia Southern signs.
No, you didn't actually do that.
And we put them on the 3rd row towards the right. And we were like, so we didn't put reserved. We just put the Georgia Southern logo just so people knew that we were going to be there on the 3rd row.
Who? But would someone else might have wanted to sit in the 3rd row? You just claimed it?
You gonna sit on the 3rd row on the other side, or you can sit in the 4th pew behind us.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I'll allow it. I'm sure Brandon would have as well.
He would have probably put reserved and not given 0 fucks about it.
Yeah.
So we got there, and the first 3 people that spoke, so Brandon was a twin. And that's sort of been the most sort of like surreal thing about this, is because even though like they look now as we've all gotten older, a little different, it's still like the same facial structure, the eyes, the voice, the mannerisms. So that was just,
it's jarring, I bet.
it's weird.
I feel like I did know that, but then I had forgotten until you mentioned it last week, and I was like, oh my God. I feel like I knew that from a long, long time ago, though. They're not identical, or
they were identical growing up into into like high school, but then like as we got older and Brandon was like, I'm gonna get my lips done. Clearly
they look a little different.
One was gay, one was straight. You could tell in the later years.
Right.
The difference between the 2 of them. But it was his voice, Austin's voice sounds exactly like Brandon. So every time he would talk, it's like your voice and your heart would drop a little bit. You're like, whoa, my
Oh,
goodness.
yes. I get it. Because that's how talking to my Auntie Pearl is. It's the same. Like, you hear that voice and you're like, whoa, it is really, it will. How's he doing, by the way, before you get into like, I can't imagine, because it's said that twins have like that, just that beyond like brother sister thing. It's like they know.
Right. I think that was just one of the most heartbreaking things to hear, because he was the first one to speak, and he said part of his speech was before we even took our first breath, we were connected.
Yeah.
And like when he said that, I don't know, like I think just everybody just tears, just you can't even imagine the grief that he must be feeling.
Yeah.
I think he's processing as best possible.
Mhm.
I think that being around, all of us from the past, and now, I think was really helped. And I think what's really cool is, because I've known Austin now for a long time, and we've never been, I would say, friends, like we're acquaintances. Like I know him; he's my best friend's brother.
Right.
But he was like, I want to stay connected. I want to, because like usually we do Atlanta Pride. And Brandon's parents and his brother Austin would come down with his wife Megan and their kids, and they would come to the parade, and they were like, this will be our thing, as we will come meet you all, and we'll keep doing this every year. And Brandon had just put down a deposit for a cruise that we go on every summer for next year, and his mom was like, would y'all mind if we came? And we were like, absolutely. And she was like, I don't want us to crash. I'm like, no, please crash it, come please. So we're super excited that they're all gonna hopefully be coming along with us. But you can just both his mom, Susan, and Stan, just the whole thing. It was just very just heartbreaking.
Mhm.
But I think one of the really cool things about funerals is that you get to learn other parts of people that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And so one of the people that got up there to speak, her name is Stephanie. She was like, Brandon really helped us in the adoption of our child, and they actually named their child after Brandon.
Oh, wow.
And we had no clue. And then that, like, you could just hear like everyone just go, oh, and then just start crying from that his spirit will live on in that, because none of us had any clue that he had such a big hand in that, and that she had named her son after him. So that was really cool. But then here's where the awkward part happened. So there were 4 speakers, or no, 5 with me. Well, they got to like the closer, but they hadn't said my name yet to do my speech. And so everybody was like looking around, like even Brandon's mom was like, are they not gonna say Miguel's name? And I was like, I'm not gonna get up there and be like, hey, preacher, you forgot about me.
Yeah.
So I was like, so then they was like, all right, they played Adele. And then he played Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And so everybody got up, and we had smiles and tears, and we were like leaving. And then everybody from his family was like, we don't know what happened. We're so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. I was like, I wrote it out so I can put it on Instagram and it'll live there wherever.
Yeah.
And so his mom was like, you gonna tell the speech. So we all went to this restaurant afterwards that they had a stage where bands, I guess, come and play. And so when we got there, his mom was like, you gonna get up there and say it. And I was like, that's cool, but I'll just, wait for your cue. Well, then about 40 minutes in, I'd had a couple of drinks, and she walked over and she was like, all right, I'm ready for you to do it. And I was like, well, okay. So I walked her to the stage, and they had a microphone, and I was like, ooh, the microphone's not on. Let me find someone to see if they can turn it on. And she was like, you don't need that. Hold on. And she did the little thing where you put your fingers in your mouth and whistle.
Oh, damn. I can't even do that.
No, I was like, you could tell she raised 3 boys. Every person in that restaurant, now, because the whole place wasn't reserved just for us, there was a bunch of other people there.
Oh, wow.
Everyone got quiet. I mean, every single person. And she was like, he got something to say. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, when Susan Jackson says to shut up and get on the stage, you better get up on the stage. So I got up there, and I was a little nervous, and because there were people that were there who didn't,
They're just dining.
Right. They were like, what? And I was like, well, y'all are here to learn about someone really awesome. So just give me a couple minutes and I'm going to get through the speech. And so it was really nice to be able to say it. And everyone afterwards said that that's probably exactly how Brandon would have wanted it, for me to like do it in a bar, a very casual setting, to sort of like put an endpoint to, you know, the whole ceremonies for the day.
I agree.
So it was really nice. And then we all ended up going back to my friend Andrew's house. And we were like, let's go to this bar, and like, let's just sit at his place. And we just had some wine and just, we were there for the rest of the night, just reminiscing. So it was really nice. It was really nice. But what
it's heavy. It can be heavy, but it's good though. It's a good heavy sometimes to share it with friends.
Right. 100%. And then it was really cool. We went to this 80s night at this place called The Basement in Atlanta, and Brandon loved that. So we went, and I've never been to an 80s night before. Like, I've been to like a 90s or early 2000s, but never just strictly 80s. That was so fun. So fun. Just to hear these songs that you don't hear really ever anymore.
It's true, because 80s are like now considered oldies. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're on some type of oldies station or they're doing like an 80s Saturday night or whatever, you really don't hear a whole lot. Like, you would probably hear stuff from like the 90s and 90s to now or something.
Yeah. So it was such a fun night. And then this was like probably an hour and a half in. We've had lots and lots of drinks and just singing and dancing, which is my voice is kind of hoarse today because we were just scream singing. And then they were like, we want to send out a dedication to one of our favorite 80s nights patrons, Brandon Jackson. May you rest in peace. And we know you're up there with Whitney. And then they played I Want to Dance with Somebody, one of our favorite songs. And so we're all like just in a circle crying and I want to dance with somebody, like tears coming down our face and our arms are up. And I think after that, we were like, this is the capstone to the weekend. This is good. We are done. We are done. So
yeah,
it was a good weekend to remember him. And then Sunday before we left, we went over to his house and met his parents there and his brother. And they're like, you know, y'all can take whatever you want from him. And I think that was just that was an emotional sort of like hour, just being in his house, knowing that this is the final time that I would be there. Because one of the things of what made our friendship so cool is since college, I've always stayed with Brandon when I go home to Atlanta for the holidays, for weddings, for anything. I always stayed at his house. And so just thinking that this would be the last time I would be there. So that was really emotional, just going around and looking at everything. I grabbed 2 of the really tacky lamps he had in his guest room that I've looked at for almost, 15 years now, every time I would go to his house. So his parents let me have that. And then the weekend that Abe and I got engaged, we did the Splatter Studio thing, where we all celebrated our engagement there. And I got to take the one that Brandon did. And then this wine glass that he stole from the cruise ship that we went on a few years ago. Because Brandon was a little bit of a klepto, that everybody who got up and spoke said, well, he got me this one thing at this restaurant because I said that I like their salt and pepper shakers. And then you get out into the parking lot and Brandon's like, here you go. You're like, okay.
You're like, you didn't have to. Okay. I love it though.
So he had this wine glass that I really enjoyed. So I got to take that. So it was, whoo. So I'm going to put a cold compress on my face.
Yes. Just it is actually physically exhausting to go through something so emotionally exhausting.
Right.
It just takes a toll and you just feel like you want to sleep, not necessarily out of like a depression, although you might find yourself in a depression in times like this, but it's also just like your body needs to process your mental grief.
100%.
Anytime I've gone through a period of like hard crying for like, a day or days, I'm always just like, I can't wait to crawl into bed and just rest. Rest. So do that this week.
That's what I will be. Well, we got a busy week because we are.
Yeah, there is that.
I'm going to Beyonce Wednesday. And then we're going to Dallas on Thursday. Well, I'm going Thursday for morning show boot camp.
I am so worried about you, by the way.
Girl, this is gonna have to be a not drunk concert experience.
No, you can't. Like, you can get a little tipsy, do a little pregame, and
right.
But like, you can't be like swaying up to the bar
No.
in the
no.
third half of the third set or whatever.
Well, in which, because it's on a Wednesday night, I wasn't going to take that Thursday off anyway, so I would have come into the show. So it's going to be a rough. I'm looking forward to next weekend when I can sleep.
Makes sense.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Holly, what's all your social media?
Radio Holly, TikTok, X, Instagram, Threads. So yeah, find me there.
Mine is Miguel Fuller. You can find all of my stuff there. Make sure to leave us a review and a rating, and we will do podcasts on Wednesday. Bye.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Wait, don't say anything.